Well, hello, my name is Jim Royal. I'm a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan and basically classic rock in general. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. At the end of the video, if you can do a thumbs up, that's always most appreciated. Today what I wanted to do is talk about a classic Elvis album. It is called Elvis, That's the Way It Is. It was Elvis's 12th studio album, originally released November 11th of 1970. This was produced by longtime Elvis producer Felton Jarvis, and it got up to number 21 on the Billboard charts, and then it got up to number 8 on the country charts here in the United States. It was released on RCA Victor. Let me show you the album. And there was a documentary that came out at the same time called That's the Way It Is. And basically what that was, it was Elvis performances that were filmed during his time at a venue called the International Hotel in Las Vegas. Alright? And then you see pictures there. And let me show you the record. Okay, I love that. Do that. Okay, so this, while the songs on here do appear in the movie, this is a studio album. There are 8 studio tracks, and then there are 4 live tracks. So those 4 live tracks were recorded during, those performances at the venue, the International Hotel. What had happened is, in June of 1970, Elvis went to RCA Studio B in Nashville, and he ended up recording 34 songs. A lot of times Elvis, that's how he liked to do things, just do it all at one time, and he actually had 5-day marathon sessions doing all those songs. And then what Elvis was doing, he would spread those songs out over a period of albums. There was a single that came out. He put it on here. This was the first stuff that was released. That's the Way It Is. And then it was on Elvis Country. I think there was some songs on Elvis Now, and even Love Letters. So quite a bit. What I wanted to start out with this album is this album marked, basically in '68 he had his comeback special on TV. In '69 he stopped. That was the last year of him doing the regular movies. And then he focused on performing live again. So that's where this was. So while we all know he was relevant all along, this is when people started, hey wait, Elvis is back. And Elvis is doing songs that are very popular, that are well known, that are standout. What he did really well at this time, in my opinion, listening to these songs and doing the research, is he basically fit very well into that. He was in his mid-30s by this point, so he was doing adult contemporary songs that were very popular. And I would say this album it does a great job of that period in between '69 and '72 for just what was popular with music, with the crowd that he basically was trying to appeal to. And what he did on this album also is he picked a lot of songs that had recently been hits prior, or were newer songs that could have been hits to that audience. And of course, the Elvis crowd was maturing a little bit, but he continued to get new fans all along too. Alright, so I can't say enough about this album. I cannot tell you enough and just tell you how great it was, and still is. Alright, this album later went gold in 1973, and then by 2018 it sold 1 million copies and went platinum. There were 2 singles off of here, actually 3, but 2 singles in the US, and I'll talk about those too. So let's talk about the song, shall we? The first song is called I Just Can't Help Believin'. It was made popular by B.J. Thomas, June of 1970, so it was one of those newer songs. But it was written by Barry Mann and Cynthia Will, who are a husband and wife songwriting team, very popular with songs from the 60s up until probably the 2000s, just writing a lot of hits. Real big hit makers for people. This got up to, this was released as a single in the UK in November of '71. For some reason they waited a year. It got up to number 6 on those charts. And the B-side was a song on here on this album also called How the Web Was Woven. And I just can't help believing this is the song that starts off the album. It is a live track. It is a wonderful love song. I can't tell you enough about how much I love this. This is the standout track for me. This is my favorite song on the album. He's a guy, I just can't help believing how, you know, she's here, she's very delicate. I just can't help believe that we're together and that she's with me. You know, it's kind of like that. You just have to pinch yourself. You just can't believe that you know, you're in this wonderful relationship with this wonderful person. I remember at great length in the movie, he is rehearsing this and then he's performing it. I mean, it's fabulous. I love this song. Later on, though, I will say there's a little mistake at the beginning there because it is a live song. Elvis gets a little distracted. What they did with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in the 2000s, they would revisit this song and they would correct that. But just the same, it's just as good here. Alright, the next song is called 20 Days and 20 Nights. This is by Ben Weissman and Clive Westlake. This is a studio cut, so this was recorded June of 1970. The live version, by the way, all these live songs were recorded August of 1970. So those were the different time spans. 20 Days and 20 Nights, this is about a guy who basically, for some reason, he gets in an argument, it sounds like, with his wife, significant other, his girlfriend, and he decides to, you know, hey, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. I left her with unpaid bills. And now he's regretting it. It's taken him 20 days and 20 nights, and it's like, you know what? I made a real mistake here. I want to go back. I love her and I miss her. Really nice tune. Really nice tune. Okay, the next song is a studio track also. It's called How the Web Was Woven. It's by Clive Westlake and David Most. For you Beatle fans out there, this was actually first recorded by Jackie LaMox as the final single from Apple Records in February of 1970. And George Harrison had actually produced that version of it. So that was, you know, earlier in the year, and Elvis decided to record it and turn it into his own song, like he did. Elvis would get a song and he just put his own touch on it, his own arrangement to it, and that was the gift that he had, other than just how well he was able to you know, sing these songs. Alright, the next song is called Patch It Up. This is a live version. Eddie Rabbitt, the singer, actually wrote this song with Rory Bork. Patch It Up is the big rocker off this album. And I'm picturing, when I hear this song, I picture Elvis in the documentary performing this song. High energy, just really going, Elvis at his prime. I mean, it is just really a great tune. Can't say enough about how much I like it. Alright, the next song number 5, is a studio song called Mary in the Morning. This is by Johnny Cymbal and Michael Rashkow. Al Martino, a famous Italian singer, you know, what would you call it, like a crooner, easy listening. He made it famous in 1967. And how it's described as a man's intense love for his wife and how he looks forward to a lifetime with her. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. You know, here she is, Mary in the morning. You know, he's at work and he can't wait to get home so he can spend time, quality time with his wife. She's just so beautiful. She's just wonderful, the greatest thing on earth. Glenn Campbell would also do a version on this too. Alright, the next song is called You Don't Have to Say You Love Me. This is a studio version. It's by Vicky Wickham, Simon Napier Bell, Pino Donaggio, and Vito Pellavinci. This was originally an Italian love song from 1965. Dusty Springfield discovered it and decided to record it. She waited a year on it, and it made it basically one of her biggest songs. It was in 1966. It was released as a single. Great tune. Again, you know, it's a signature tune from her, but then Elvis is somehow able to do it and make it as his own. In fact, he did release it as a single, and it got as high here in the States to number 11, which is really good. In fact, let's see, You Don't Have to Say You Love Me, the B-side was Patch It Up, the live version, so that's pretty cool. So that sounds like a killer single. But I've Lost You, it just missed the top 10. But you know, I think of it as a big hit, and I just wish it were on more collections because, you know, it's a number 11 hit. It is definitely relevant. Wonderful tune. I can't say enough how much I like this one as well. All right, song number 7 is You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling. This is a live version. This is by Barry Mann and Cynthia Will again, that husband-wife team that brought us I Just Can't Help Believin'. But this time they also wrote it with Phil Spector. This was a huge hit for the Righteous Brothers in 1964. Phil Spector produced that. Hall & Oates would later record a version of it at top 10 in 1980. But this got the Righteous Brothers. It got to number 1 in the U.S. and the U.K. So here's Elvis 6 years later recording this song. You know, I mean, everybody has heard this song, and that's the thing. Sometimes you just wonder, man, everybody knows that with the Righteous Brothers, but Elvis decided to take a chance with it, tackled it, and of course scored very highly with it. It's a highlight in the movie, listening to it, watching that movie and seeing him perform that. Just did a really wonderful, uplifting job of that song. It's just great. Okay, song number 8 is called I've Lost You. This is another live song, and it's by Alan Blakely and Ken Howard. It was originally 1969 song, first recorded by Ian Matthews at the Fairport Convention after he had left. It was an Elvis single, released July of 1970. It got up to number 32 on the U.S. Hot 100, but on Cashbox, it got up to number 18. So, you know, there's different charts, how they rate how music is performing here in the States, and that's how high it got. The B-side to the single was The Next Step Is Love, which is another good song. So, I've lost you. He says, I've lost you, I can't reach you anymore. Basically, it's the idea, you know, you're with someone and, you know, they're there with you, but you're not communicating. You know, you're not getting through, she's not communicating, he's not communicating. It's like, what's going on here? You know, we still love each other, but something's wrong, and we got to talk. You know, I've lost you, can't reach you anymore. Love this song. It's just such a nice tune. It's just so good. Okay, song number 9 is called Just Pretend. It's by Guy Fletcher and Doug Flett. Great tune. You know, a lot of times, you know, songs might be just with a publishing company. A lot of times they were, and Elvis would pick them and say, I want to do that song. This song is called, basically this song, how I look at it, listening to the lyrics, it's just basically talking to, you know, his lady that, hey, you know, I can't be here right now with you, but just pretend that we're together, and you know, I will be back home, you know, soon, and we will be together. So just pretend that we're here together. You know, we love each other. Just pretend. Okay, song number 10 is another studio track, just like Just Pretend. It's called Stranger in the Crowd. This is kind of interesting for you know, Elvis fans out there. This was written also, well, this is by Winfield Scott, but he had previously written with Otis Blackwell some really big Elvis songs that they wrote together. Return to Sender and You're the Devil in Disguise. Stranger in the Crowd, another love song. That's a theme song. That's a theme of this album, love. It really is. And, you know, he's a stranger in the crowd. He's there. He doesn't know anybody. He meets another stranger, and then they're not strangers. Nice tune, really. I mean, there's not one bad song on here. There's not one filler song on here. They're all great. The next song is called The Next Step Is Love. This is also a studio version by Paul Evans and Paul Parnes. The Next Step is Love. This is basically, you meet somebody and it's going along really well, and then you're saying, hey, you know what? We got to take this a step higher. Okay, we know how we each feel. The next step is love, as he says, so what are we waiting for? All right, and then the last song to close out the album is called Bridge Over Troubled Water. This is by Paul Simon. Simon wrote it. It was for Simon and Garfunkel earlier in that year. This one is made to sound like it's a live track at the end. It has false audience fade out, but it's really not. Great. Paul Simon saw him performing this in concert, in August of '70, and just was blown away. He couldn't believe how well he did it. He felt that basically Elvis did it better than they had performed it. And it's a great song by Simon and Garfunkel. A lot of just really uplifting song, very gospel, just very religious, Bridge Over Troubled Water. It's just wonderful. It's a great thing. Now, on this album and the live tracks, they had different people playing, but some people I'm going to highlight here. James Burton, guitar player for Elvis. He's doing lead guitar on both the studio and the live. You got Charlie Hodge playing acoustic guitar for the live, and he's also doing some vocals, and it's his scarves, which I thought was funny because he'd be the guy passing out the scarves. Jerry Sheff is also on here playing bass on the live. And then you have different groups in the background that are helping Elvis, girl groups. You got the Sweet Inspirations, you got the Imperials, and then the Jordanaires. It's not just girls, but they're on the studio track too. So there was this is my CD from the 90s, and then there was a special edition of this album that came out in 2000. I believe it has the complete August 12th concert on it as the second disc, and then the third disc is rehearsals from July and August of that year. But the first, disc 1, is the special edition, which also has other songs, about 7 other songs on here that were recorded during those sessions. You have songs like Love Letters during the June sessions, Love Letters, When I'm Over You, Something I'll Never Know, Sylvia, Cindy, Cindy, and Rags to Riches. So if I was to rate this 1 to 10, 10 being the best, I would definitely give this a 10. So I want to thank you very much for watching my video. You have a nice day. Take care. Thank you. Bye.